now call on Deputy Owen Murphy.
Thank you, Chair. Agreements entered into must be honoured. Pacta sunt servanda. It's an incredibly important tenet of international relations, and we are an island and we do exist in the world. And much of what we do depends on our partners, both in that world, but in particular in the European Union and in the Eurozone, since that arrangement came into force. This is a welcome deal. And it is a deal, and it's important to recognise that. It was a negotiation between parties. And whenever there's a negotiation taking place, that involves compromise. And what that means when one compromises, they don't get exactly what they want. It's never going to be perfect. But we should recognise with this deal that was achieved by the government that it is the best possible outcome that could have been achieved in those negotiations. And those advocating a zero-sum approach, putting the gun on the barrel, Russian roulette, as Deputy Toomey was referring to, those advocating a zero-sum approach with our international partners will hopefully now recognise the folly of that type of approach. Because although high stakes and tough talking might sound good, when it comes to the wealth of the nation, and I don't just mean the financial wealth, but when it comes to its factors of production, its land, its labour, its capital, its enterprise, when it comes to those things, the risks are just too high, and the supposed benefits are too uncertain to take that kind of a gamble. I think the government should be congratulated for the strategy that it has adopted and for seeing that strategy through successfully, quietly and with determination, and ignoring the criticisms that were constantly levelled at it over the 2 years, both inside this chamber and outside. We went out to improve Ireland's reputation abroad, to increase foreign investment in the country, to commit ourselves wholly to the corrective measures that needed to be taken, to stabilise the economy, and to drive bond yields down so that others and the European Central Bank could have confidence in the country again and invest in Ireland again. This was the strategy, and in renegotiating the promissory notes last week, as the government did, we have shown that strategy has worked. And I think it's important that we recognise that. And it's not about putting on happy faces or gloating or anything like that, but recognising a good deal when it does come. The deal will not solve all of our problems, as we know, but the benefits should be recognised. This will reduce our borrowing costs in the coming years. It will help to reduce general government debt. It will help us to find a pathway to making that debt more sustainable. And it will help with the deficit reductions that need to take place over the coming years. And it will help put us on surer footing as we do exit the bailout. They're positives and they should be acknowledged. I'm not saying that people shouldn't challenge the government. I'm not an opponent of criticism where it is just. But we have to recognise that there is also a need for balance. Opponents of this government need to accept what is a good deal for this country, recognise that, and move on. This isn't about deference for deference sake, as the Taoiseach has said before. I mean, that age has passed, and he is correct in that. But there is a need for balance and for common sense, and when there is a good outcome for the country in important negotiations, to see that and to welcome it, and then to move on. Because there is a lot more for us to deal with. And this deal does not change the financial imperative that we have to correct the imbalance in our national finances and reduce the deficit as quickly as possible. That challenge has not gone away. We're still spending too much. We have to reduce that. We're still spending some of our money in the wrong way. We need to reform. That is what we have to do, and we have to do that quickly. And this deal will help us do that quickly. And it will help us do it in a better and a more sustainable way. So we should recognise that also. And we must absolutely take caution in returning to the giveaway mentality of the past, of trying to buy support from constituent elements of the population by either shouting a cause where there is none, or worse, by promising money where there is none. The times today require greater responsibility than that, and that needs to be recognised also. Of course, people are facing difficulties. And of course, there are those who do need the help of the state. But some element of trust also has to be returned to politics. People need to trust their politicians again, and they need to trust the economic strategy that this government is undertaking, because so far it is working, and that too needs to be recognised. Cutting the deficit, reforming the government purse, growing the economy, and at every point of that growth, trying to facilitate job creation where we can. That's the great structural problem in the economy today, unemployment. That's what we need to fix, and this deal will help us in addressing that huge problem that we face. Thank you, Chair.